Hi, everyone. This is Kat Corchado. Today, we're going to be talking about how people can heal from the effects of military sexual trauma or sexual assault while being in the military. If you're a veteran, we all know someone who has been through this. Today, I'm interviewing Dr. Amy Street, who is with the National Center for PTSD Women's Health Sciences Division, along with the Department of Veterans Affairs, have come up with an app called Beyond MST, where users can set self-care goals, track their recovery progress, and learn more about MST and common concerns that survivors experience. I hope you'll take a listen. Now, on to the interview. Welcome, everyone, to episode 25 of Sisters in Service. I hope that you guys are doing well. I am, of course, your host, Kat Corchado, and today we have as our guest, Dr. Amy Street. Dr. Amy Street is a Deputy Director of the Women's Health Sciences Division of the National Center for PTSD. She's also the Associate Professor in the Department of Psychiatry at Boston University's School of Medicine. She is the co-director of the Women Veterans Network. Yes, you've heard that before because I've talked about it. And last but not least, she's my friend. Amy, welcome to Sisters in Service. We're so glad to have you.
Hello, my friend, and thank you for having me. I feel like I've hit the big time now that I'm on Sisters in Service.
We're so glad to have you here. So Amy is going to talk about something very exciting. It's an app, and I don't want to reveal anything about it, but Amy, tell us a little bit about the app and why you are excited about it.
Yeah, I am super excited and really glad to have the opportunity to talk about it a little bit here. So the name of the app is Beyond MST, and it is specifically created for military sexual trauma survivors. It's free, it's private, it's made by the Department of Veterans Affairs. We made it after having conversations with a lot of MST survivors who are involved in the development and also other key stakeholders, advocates, and providers who work with MST survivors. And we really wanted a product just for MST survivors that would meet them where they are, that would have information curated, especially for MST survivors, that would have tools, especially for MST survivors, a place for this group of folks to come and find something that could help them on their path to recovery.
That's awesome. So did the Department of Veteran Affairs come to you and say, hey, Amy, we want to do an app? Was it your idea or was it kind of a collaboration?
Well, the National Center for PTSD, that's the group that I work with in the Department of Veterans Affairs, and they have a long history of making some really amazing mobile apps products for veterans. So probably their most well-known product is PTSD Coach, which is sort of the first government app. It's specifically for veterans with PTSD. It's been downloaded over 1 million times. It's a really fantastic product. So a lot of my colleagues in the National Center for PTSD had been working with mobile apps. But my expertise is specifically around working with veterans who've experienced military sexual trauma. And so I know a little bit about the ways in which experiences of military sexual trauma might differ from other kinds of traumatic experiences that veterans have had, and the ways in which those differences mean that the needs of those who are recovering from MST are different in some ways than the needs of the rest of the veteran population. So I went to my colleagues who have all this knowledge about building mobile apps, and I said, hey, I think there's a real need out there for an app that is specifically for MST survivors, that really focuses on the issues that are most relevant for that group of veterans and helping them in their recovery. My colleagues were like, sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. The National Center for PTSD provided the funding to make it happen. We got a really amazing team together, and then spent a couple of years working really hard on this, and are so excited that we're now at the point that it's out. It's been downloaded thousands of times already. We're getting ratings in the app stores and hearing feedback from veterans who are using it. And it's amazing that we're at this point after it just sort of started as just an idea all these years ago.
That's great in the fact that, it started as an idea, and it's sometimes when you work on something for so long and you finally get it to fruition and you're like, I hope this works. So it sounds like it's really working.
I think so. I mean, we're very, very proud of the product. There's always ways to make it better. And one of the things that we're really interested in is hearing feedback from folks who are using it, both to tell us what we've gotten right, but also to tell us what we should do better the next time around, because we want to certainly update the app, have new versions of it in the future. And if we read the reviews in the app stores regularly to see what kind of feedback people have for us, there's a place within the app where you can send us feedback about your experience. So we're interested in the experiences of people who are using it to make it even better. But we do feel good about it and feel excited about what's out there.
Well, I can tell you that I downloaded the app and I was very pleasantly surprised at how intuitive it is. The colors are very soothing to me. I don't know if it was to anybody else, but it goes through all of these. It prompts you so well, and you don't have to, you just push the button and you're like, oh, this is so I learned something from this app. I did not know that MST was sexual assault and sexual harassment. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's great. If you've learned something, that's amazing.
Okay, we're done. No.
Right? No, I appreciate you saying that about, the look and the feel of it. So listen, we thought a lot about the kind of content that we wanted to put in there. We put a lot of, I think there are close to 50 little essays that have information in them that are important things for MST survivors or their friends or families to know about. And there are a ton of tools that help you practice skills that could help in recovery. There are assessments that you can take to kind of track your progress over time. And we thought a lot about the content of that, but we also did think a lot about how to use it and how it felt when you were using it and how it looked and was it comfortable and engaging, because we could have come up with the best, most perfect information in the world. But if we put it in a product that you don't feel like using or isn't inviting and isn't engaging, then no one's going to get that information. And then there's no point in making
Yeah,
the
because
product.
no one wants to use it. And then if you
Right.
don't use it, then then it's just sitting there. Have you noticed the instances of MST being reported increasing, or do you see it more as it's more out in the open and people are talking about it more?
Yeah, it's a great question. And you can imagine that the kind of statistics geeks like me are super interested in trying to figure out answers to that kind of question and looking to see how the prevalence of MST has changed over time. And we do hear a lot more about it, but I think that you're right that it is that people are now much more willing to talk about it openly in a way that they won't before. So we're hearing so much more about MST now, even though the prevalence I don't think is going up. In fact, I think a lot of the prevention efforts that have been started in DoD are beginning to pay off. Thankfully, there's obviously still much more work to do there, but we are hearing much more about it, which is a great thing. It's great that these experiences are not as secretive or as stigmatized as they've been in the past. No one can get help if they're not talking about these experiences and thinking about these experiences, if we're not having conversations as a society about the fact that
Right.
this stuff is not okay, it's not acceptable, and that we as a society owe something to the veterans who've had these experiences. We owe it to them to help them recover from those experiences. So I'm glad that conversation is happening, because I think change can't happen without that kind of conversation.
Absolutely. And we always think about, when you think MST, we always think about women, but men also suffer from um, military sexual trauma and sexual harassment, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a big consideration for us when we were making this product, is that we know every MST survivor is unique, right? All kinds of gender identities at all different places in their recoveries, all different kinds of experiences, diverse on all kinds of different dimensions. And we really wanted a product that could be relevant for all of those people's experiences. And that was something we also gave a lot of thought to when we were developing the product. Could someone who has never talked about this experience, has kept it private this whole time, and just wants to open this up and learn a little bit more about what kind of options might be out there? We wanted this to be the right product for that person. Is there someone who's in the middle of very intense therapy, recovering from this experience, and could use some extra support outside of therapy sessions in the middle of the night when they wake up and need some inspiration or some hope or a reminder on how to manage their distress? We wanted to be ready for that person. Is there someone who's walked down a path of recovery from experiences of MST, but feels good to be reminded that they are not alone on their journey? And, once a week or so, they open this up and are sort of reminded of some different skills that are useful for them to think about, even though they're not very distressed by this experience on a day-to-day basis. We wanted something that would be right for all of those people, and regardless of what kind of people they were.
Absolutely. I also thought of someone who, like, it might be in your family, it might be a friend, that they could download the app. Could it be used by someone who doesn't suffer from MST, but maybe they know somebody who does, and they could share the app with them or kind of introduce it to them? Is that something that's feasible also?
Yeah.
Is that how you meant for it to be used too?
100%. We wanted it to have useful information for a range of different people. So certainly providers who work with MST survivors, mental health providers, or other healthcare providers. We thought this is great for you because there's information in here that you could benefit from or that you can share from others. Often I know when I'm working with my own clients and my own practice who've experienced MST, it's really helpful if I can just pick up my phone and say, hey, here it is. Let me just show you what it looks like. Because if you see what it looks like, then it feels a little bit less scary. And absolutely, if you have friends or family, battle buddies who this is an issue for, I think having a recommendation for this product come from someone who you trust like that can be the most valuable way to get it in the hands of people who really need it.
I think one of the things I liked about two things, actually, other than what I mentioned before, is there are assessments on there. So maybe you don't know that that's what's wrong, but maybe you can, you take these little assessment tests. The other thing I love is, they'll, do you need help? And there's a button with a phone number. And all you do is click the button. It'll say, do you want to call this number? Okay, I'm lazy. Okay, I love stuff like that. Don't make me write the number down, because then I'll forget it, or it'll get thrown away or something. So here's another question. Is the app for active duty and veterans?
Yeah, we want everyone to be able to use it. And if you experienced MST relatively recently, if you experienced MST very long ago, if you're currently active duty, if you're currently veteran status, whoever you are, we think there's information in here that can be helpful. You talked about those assessments that you can take over time. And like I said, I'm a big stats geek. Like, I love numbers. I love a graph.
Said no one to me ever.
You've met the person. I love a graph. But one of the things in this app is that you can take those assessments, and then you can take them this week, and then you can take them next week, and then you can take them the week after that. And you can kind of get a sense of, how are your symptoms looking over time? Are they pretty stable? Are they changing? Is this a kind of a rough period, which maybe you knew, but it's helpful to see it actually laid out there? Because sometimes when you're in the middle of a rough period, you feel like it feels so awful. You think, I've always been in this period where things are this awful. But probably things haven't been this bad for this long. There was a time a few months ago when you were actually feeling pretty reasonable, and then a big stretch when things were much more positive. And if you have all this information within the app kind of graphed out for you, I think that can be helpful in just sort of understanding yourself and your symptoms in your own recovery process.
Here's another question. Does MST manifest itself differently in everybody? Does everyone have different symptoms of MST, so to speak? Does it manifest differently in people?
Yeah, it really does. And in part that's because MST can be such a wide variety of experiences. Like you were saying earlier, you've learned that MST includes sexual harassment as well as sexual assault. That's a really wide, broad continuum of different
Yes.
potential experiences. And then the experiences that our service members have after experiencing MST in terms of how much support or lack of support, sadly, that they've gotten also differs a lot. And that's also pretty important in how quickly our service members are able to recover from these experiences. So there are a very diverse set of needs amongst survivors, and we try to include things that would be relevant to all of those folks. But we sort of through a lot of our own research and review of the existing literature and conversations that we had with MST survivors as we were building the app and conversations with providers, we settled on like 6 kind of main topic areas that we focus on that we think are the most common issues that a lot of MST survivors are struggling with. We focused on the idea of countering self blame because we know so many sexual trauma survivors in general, and also certainly military sexual trauma survivors, really focus inaccurately, I think, on blaming themselves for that experience. And that self blame can really keep them stuck. So, beginning to challenge some of those ideas and show more compassion towards oneself was one area. We focused on strengthening relationship skills. What are healthy relationship skills? How can you rebuild trust? Practice talking about MST to those who you love. We talked about building support. This was really one of our main goals for this product is we don't want MST survivors to feel like they're alone or they're the
Right.
only one who've had this experience. So there are a lot of tools in there to how to build this support in your life, finding calm and balance, prioritizing health and wellness. And then probably my favorite section of the app is actually the finding hope section of the
Mm,
app, which is really about just kind of fighting hopelessness, fighting isolation, kind of explore your own values. What's the kind of life that you want to have? What kind of life would be worth living for you? How can you continue healing and just find that kind of motivation and inspiration to keep going even when times are tough? I think that's really my biggest hope is that this app could be a source of inspiration, hopefulness for other people.
absolutely. I think one of the things I also liked about it when I downloaded it, I didn't have to put my name in it. I didn't have to do a password or an email. Uh, It was just I just started using it. I thought that was awesome. Do you think that this can be used in conjunction with professional help? So if someone downloads the app and it helps them, but they still feel as though they might need a little bit more, they can use it in conjunction with the both. Like they can use the app and professional care at the same time.
Yep, 100%. So this is a self-help app, meaning it's meant to be used on your own, but we do know that a lot of veterans use it in conjunction with their therapy, just as you've said. Maybe there are skills that you've been learning in your therapy, and your provider says to you, here's a great way that you can keep practicing that outside of session, or I think there's some information in this section that could be really helpful for you, or maybe you discover something that you think is important and you want to raise it with your provider. This is something that we've not been talking about. So absolutely. I think that's a great way to use the app. And Kat, I'm so glad you brought up the issue of privacy, because this was another thing that was really on our minds. I always, when I start talking about privacy, I always want to be careful because I don't want to convey in any way that I think experiences of MST are shameful or should be kept secret. But I also really do believe that one's story of their own MST experiences is that person's information to share. It's not anyone else's story to tell. It's that person's story to tell. They get to have control over that information. And so, because this is such a concern for MST survivors, the issue of privacy was really a concern for us when we were developing it. We wanted to make sure we were creating something that felt safe and secure and private. Not only felt that way, but was that way for the veterans who are using it. So you're right. there's no information that's collected, no like demographics or diagnoses, no personal health information is collected. Anything, there are options that you can enter information into the app if you want. So you were saying before, you're lazy, you want to hit a button and be able to call someone. And a lot of us are like that. So we have like, there's a place where you can put in sort of support people in your life and just sort of dial them automatically for the app. But if you put any of that kind of information in, it can't be accessed or shared by anyone in the VA or any third parties. There's no connection to a VA medical record. There's an option that you can set a PIN lock in the app. So you have to enter
I
that
did
PIN
see
lock.
that. Yes.
So that's sort of another level of privacy. So we've heard some people say, even if they just feel a little nervous, even with just having the app on their phone, some folks have sort of created a separate folder and moved the app inside that folder. So they just have that kind of extra sense of security and privacy.
Right.
But this is, MST survivors want control over their own information, and that's very reasonable. So we wanted to make sure that this app really was thoughtful about those kinds of privacy issues.
Right. Because they already feel a little out of control because of what's happening to them. So giving them that sense of security and feeling in control, gives them that little fuzzy feeling of, okay, this is helping me, and they can use that. How is the VA getting the word out about this app?
Well, Sisters in Service podcast is the main way.
Of course.
We're counting on you, Kat. We're counting on you to share the information. No, we are, we're talking about it lots of places. So obviously it's in the Google store or in the Apple store, and those are the easiest places to download it. But the app was released in March of this year, and April of this year was Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So we did a big push within VA, as we always do, actually, to sort of highlight the importance of making sure that we're taking care of all of our sexual assault survivors within VA. And as part of that, we really talked about this app, been going around and talking to different providers within VA. Every VA medical center actually has a MST coordinator who sort of is in charge at that local facility of knowing all the resources that are available for MST survivors. And we've really called upon those folks to be our champions in terms of helping spread this information to veterans. But this app is not just for veterans who use VA. It's for any veteran who's out there, whether they use VA or not, or as we've said, for active duty folks who are coping with these issues as well. So we do in some ways depend on word of mouth just to get the word out there. And as we said earlier, I think oftentimes if a veteran hears from another veteran, look, I opened this up and it seems pretty legit, and I think there's some stuff in here that could be really helpful. I think that's honestly our most powerful form of advertising, coming from someone, a trusted other like that.
Absolutely. I was a little concerned about, being part of the VA. I wasn't, and I'm still not a part of the VA, only because when I retired, they told me I wasn't allowed to be a part of the VA. So how do we reach those people that aren't part of the VA to know more about the app? Other than, is there something we can do on social media? Is it something we say, hey, go to this link and download this? How do we get to those people?
Yeah, I think there are some amazing advocacy organizations for veterans out there. Certainly amazing advocacy organizations that are especially for veterans who've experienced sexual trauma or for women veterans. And I think those are really important communities to reach in terms of information about this product, because it's not the right choice for everyone to go to the VA. It's not the right choice for everyone to seek professional care. Everyone is on their own path and walking the path that's the right path for them. I just want everyone to know that this is out there for them, that it's free, that it's private. No one's making any money off of this. This product comes out of my own and others' real sense of obligation and honor that those who experience sexual trauma as part of their military service deserve so much from us, and thanks, and with apologies for what they experienced. And this kid's only one sort of small part of that, but I hope it can be some small part of that.
Absolutely. If nothing else, it's a start. When someone downloads it and they start looking at it, it's a start of them, the healing. It's a start of the healing process,
Yeah.
and that's always positive.
Yeah.
That is always positive. So tell us again the name of the app, where we can find it. It's also available on Apple and Android. So give us a little bit more information about that, Amy, one more time.
Yeah, sure. So the name of the app is Beyond MST. And, we named it Beyond MST, but to really reflect the idea that we know it's never the case that it is as if MST, we can make it so the MST never happened. Sadly, folks who have lived through these experiences know these experiences will continue to be a part of them and impact them. But we do hope we can help folks take some steps to move beyond MST and really sort of move towards a life that is the life that they want to have, despite those experiences. So Beyond MST is what it's called. And I think the easiest way to download it is if you've got an iPhone, you head to the Apple Store, you type in Beyond MST, it pops up.
It pops right up.
Easy and quick to download. If you've got an Android phone, you go to the Google Play Store, type in Beyond MST. Again, it pops right up. And pretty easy to download, pretty quick. I think it's worth sort of checking out, see if it's for you. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but you might find something of value in there. And again, like I said, we're dying to hear feedback from users about both the things that we got right and the things that we can improve next time around. What did we miss? What did we get wrong? We want to know. We want to make it better. So any feedback that we get in terms of star ratings or comments in the app stores, those comments might also be useful for other survivors who are trying to decide if this is the right thing for them. And like I said, there is a place in the app. It's under More. It's Send Us Feedback. And we read every single comment that we get in. We discuss them as a team, and we think about how we can incorporate that information into our next version of the app. So we really do appreciate feedback, both positive and negative, that we receive, because we just want to make it be as good as it can be.
Absolutely. I think that everyone should, whether you have suffering from MST or not, just to take a look at it, because it's very informative. Like I said, I learned something from looking at the app. And Amy, it's been such a pleasure having you on and learning more about this app and how it can help everybody to know more about MST and how to help someone that they think might be having issues with that,
Well, I'm thrilled that you had me on to do this. I can't think of anybody I would have had more fun talking to about this. So
well, it helps that we're Amy's one of those people that has all those initials after her name, which would have just really just put me on edge if I didn't know her. But Amy, thank you so much for being on. For everyone else, I hope that you have learned something today. It's definitely worth checking out. If you have any questions, Amy, where can they contact you or anything like that if they have questions about the app, or is it just better for them to download the app and then comment from there?
Folks can always reach out to me at my VA address. I'm always happy to have feedback, amy.street@va.gov. But yes, any comments that come through the app, won't get lost in the way that things get lost in my email inbox. But like I said, we're dying for feedback, and folks are welcome to reach out to me if they're looking for more information.
Thank you so much, Amy. This was fun. And the fact that I know you and that you were on. And for everyone else, please be safe, take care of each other, and until next time.